and greetings and respect. Muhammad Suleiman Ahmadzai is here with a new session for you, dear friends. In the Fortune Legacy section here, we had something called a video editor inside the video timeline that we want to show you. The first thing we do is create a project. Or, just like making a new file, we create something for it. In the past days, we had worked with it to make videos. But actually, its main place is right here, where we need to come and select New Project. Besides this section, we also worked here, where you could start a new project, start a blank project, or work from here. So, when we click on the plus sign, it takes us directly to the new project. Later on, whether it's this new project or the slideshow that we create, whether it's related to video or to photos, we give it a name. So, for example, I'll call it my video. Basically, any name, it doesn't matter. Alright, let's confirm this. Try to give it a name right here in this section. Our project is called My Videos. When we come here, before, in this video section, there wasn't really anything here. Now it's called My Videos. On this date, 28/24, this video project was created. If you click on it again, it'll take us back inside. Meaning, if we want to continue working on it. But overall, it'll always show up here. This way, for example, we can make a duplicate of the project we've created. Sometimes, when you want to edit one of them, you might say, okay, let me check the original. If I like the editing, I can always delete it. And then I can look at the original again. Then, at that point, we right-click on it. Here, we select it. Now, when you duplicate your project, it creates two exact copies of those two videos for you. Then we check one of them. If you like it, great. If not, you can just delete it again. We already covered the Change Cover Photo section and said that, for example, we can select a photo here to set as the cover photo. To set as the cover. Exactly. And if we don't need it, we can just tell it to delete this project entirely. Alright, I'm going into this now. Now, for example, let's say we don't like the name of this. We might say, for instance, we didn't want the name My Videos, maybe we wanted Slideshow or something else instead. So, we click on this little pencil icon. We just click on the pencil, or whatever it is. Again, we do the same for this one. Let's say, for example, we want to name it My Slides, or maybe call it My Slideshow. We just change it. Then we click OK. Now, as you can see, My Videos has changed to My Slideshow. So, whenever we want to rename it again, we see that there's no rename option here. But once we go inside, we can use this little pencil icon to basically delete the slideshow name. Inside the project, the first thing we do is go to the section called Project Library, and this part is called Storyboard. Here, the first thing we do is add either photos or video clips together with you. After that, we can also create another slideshow. This way, we can bring both photos and videos together at the same time. We can create a slideshow that includes both 2 photos and 2 videos. This way, we can also work only with the photos if we want. We can also work only on the video. Well, it all depends on your own preference. I work on them separately. I import the photos as well. Then, separately, we import the video to see how the options here change when it comes to video. So first, we click on Add. Here, it asks us whether the item you want to bring in, whether it's a photo or a video, should be from your computer or from My Collection. My Collection means it brings in the items from your own stuff. The storyboard, or the section where we previously introduced the folders to you. If we want to tell it, for example, that we want to download those things from the internet to have direct internet access, I'm saying, let's go from inside this PC and select ourselves from which folder we want to bring what. We go inside the folder, for example, here I selected for it. For example, I want a few photos as well. Let's say we select one photo. If you want to pick and choose, you say, take that photo, hold down Control, then you say, this photo. For example, this photo, and this photo. That means 5 photos are selected. Or the opposite, you can do it for them. From this photo up to this photo, then you hold down Shift, click, hold Shift. It starts from there up to the part where I click. All of them get selected, with Shift and click. In this section, 6 photos are imported for us. We remove this one. We imported 5 photos here. Here, if we realize later that we want more photos, we go and click on Add. What size should the view be displayed? Should it be shown as large, or like before, as small? We say let it be small so we can see them better. When you select this photo, for example, you can select each one individually. I select it. For example, we have 5 photos. Here, there is a button called Remove. You can delete one of the photos. Earlier, I also right-clicked on this and told it to delete. You can also right-click and tell it to place in storyboard, for example. That means it refers to the lower section as the storyboard. So, you can click on them like this. Select all of them completely. Then here, again, tell it to place in storyboard. There's another way too, like in the old programs such as Premiere that we used to work with. You grab it, drag it, and drop it. It's actually written down here. Drag items from project library. This section is called the project library, and this section is the storyboard. So, you move the mouse down like this. Then it's just free there. Here it says drag items. It tells you to drop them here. Drag and drop them. Or if you don't want to do it that way, just use the simple method the system itself suggests. Right-click. Then select Place, or from up here, choose Place in Storyboard. It will directly bring those 5 photos here for us and place them in the storyboard. If we just say play for any photo directly here, this gives us a preview on the display screen. If I just hit play, try to see, it's a slideshow that simply shows one photo, then the next, and so on, bringing all 5 photos for us. Each photo stays on the screen for a few seconds. By default, it says here for each photo, 3 seconds. Each of our photos stays on the screen for 3 seconds. We can also increase or decrease it again. Well, by default, it's set to this value. When we display this page, we can make the page full screen. Instead of, for example, well, this is the restore mode, and this is the full screen mode. In this mode, when I hit play, now each of our photos stays on the screen for 3 seconds, then the next photo comes up. We can also, before the 3 seconds are up, manually click Next or Previous to bring up the next or previous photo. It shows us each photo for those same 3 seconds. Altogether, that's 15 seconds since we have 5 photos. If we count 3 seconds for each one, our whole slideshow will be 15 seconds long. Now, if for example we want to tell Razy that we want to change this timing, so that each photo doesn't stay on the screen for just 3 seconds. If you want it a little less or more, again, for any photo you select or right-click on. We use this part called Duration here. Or we have this section here called Duration that we click on. By default, there are options from 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 7 that we can choose from. Or you can click directly on this timing section itself. Here, it automatically opens up. You can also type it in for durations that aren't listed. If you want 1.5 seconds, you can type it in or specify it. We can say, for example, we don't want the first photo to stay for 2 seconds. For the second photo, for example, just 1 second. For the third photo, maybe 3 seconds. For the next photo, 2 seconds. And the next one also 2 seconds. And the following photo will stay on the screen for 1 second. Now, when we go to the slideshow. When we start the slideshow, the first photo stays for 2 seconds. After that, the next photo stays for 1 second. The next photo stays for 3 seconds. The following photo stays for 2 more seconds. And the last one stays for 1 second. So, if we add up all the timings, for example, together it becomes 3, then 6, 7, 8, it should be 9 seconds. See, our whole slideshow lasted 9 seconds, based on the timing that we had chosen. Alright, after the division, we have something else here. Each one has a title card. Let's have a title card as a slide that shows the title of the slideshow. Meaning, before the slideshow starts, there should be a text, some writing. For example, there should be a topic that shows some text written on it. It shows what the topic inside our slideshow is, or we click the card here or click it from there. It's a title card, it doesn't make a difference. When you do this, a slide will be added for you at the beginning of the slideshow. Whenever you want, you can also change the position of the slides, for example, and you can tell it that the picture shown here, the wolf, we want it between these 2 others. You can select the picture again. Hold it with the mouse. This way, you can also change its position. Wherever you want, you can place the images wherever you like. They don't have to stay where they are. With the order they originally came in, what do we do here with their order? We change it so that whichever image you want comes first, and whichever comes last. You can even do the same thing with the title card, deciding where it should be placed. Well, usually, as the name suggests, the title card is the title card. It appears in the title. It's at the beginning, in the introduction. That's why we place it at the start. But it could also be added at different positions if needed. Right now, it's empty. You can see it just says title and, as it should, it stays on the screen for 3 seconds. But usually, a text is written on the title card. They add a piece of text. They bring in some text. So, it's not left empty, for example. For that, we either right-click. After we've reviewed the title card, here you have something called Edit. Again, it has text and background options. If we select the text, well, now we're bringing it onto this writing. If we select the background, it will only and solely be this color that we're choosing here. Try, when we click on the text, it brings us to this section where we can work on the text. Actually, both of these are in the same place. You know, whether you click on text or background, it brings us into this section, and if we didn't do it from here, we could have done it from the Edit section, from these two options here. Whether I click on Title Card Division or on Main Text, and the same goes for background, you see, it brings up both of them. But actually, no matter which one I click on, it's the same. Both of them are together in the same place here. So, it comes from there as well, and from here as well. First, we go to the background section and tell it to show us this color, whatever it may be, and we click on it. Here, we have different colors available to us. If we don't use these built-in colors, the ones that come by default, we can go to the custom color section. For example, by default we have custom colors, and we say we want to mix a color ourselves. We click on custom color. For instance, we say we want a certain color, something in this shade. For example, we make it this dark and click OK. Here, we can add up to 4 colors, right? We can add them ourselves. After the background, we move on to the text. For example, whatever should be written on it, you can type it here. Alright, look, we just wrote a simple text. For example, welcome to my project. After that, you choose the font for your section, deciding in which style it should be written. For example, the welcome to my project text you wrote, you need to choose which font it should be in. There are different fonts, and you can pick any font you want from the list. In the example, you'll see that we select one of them. For instance, let's choose this one, Adventure. After that, here we can choose a layout so that the text appears in the center. You can also pick from these layouts below to place it on the right, left, bottom, or top. Right now, it's set to center layout, but you can move it to the top, left, center, or right, whichever position you want it to show for you. Usually, we say to show it in this mode by default, for example. Let the layout be this one, centered, and the text background in the color we want. After that, we click Done for it. Our title card has 3 sections. Now, when we play it, in the first 3 seconds our text appears, Welcome to my project. After that, it starts with the slideshow. So after the title card, we had duration and we had text. Here, we have something called motion. What is the purpose of motion? It means that for each of our slides, or for every photo we have in between, a movement or animation is applied to it. So, for example, when the next photo or the previous photo appears, one is called a transition and the other is called motion. For example, I select this first photo. We click on motion. This way, a window opens up. Actually, these are all in the same place. After that, we have text motion, 3D, and filter. It also shows at the bottom, evenly. Let's say we wanted to zoom in. When we hit play, this photo zooms in. That means, during the 3 seconds, 2 seconds, or 5 seconds that we selected, it will perform this movement, or if we choose zoom out, it will do the opposite and zoom out, depending on the duration we selected. In this section, if we want the photo to zoom and move from right to right, or the opposite. If we select right zoom out, it will move to the left. That means it zooms and moves to the left or to the right. We just click once. Or we can select pan. It moves from left to right, or from right to left. It moves from bottom to top. Basically, it's a movement. For example, I select this. I choose this mode for the photo. First, then there's OK, which means each one will only stay on the screen for 2 seconds. Now, we only see the other photos. They're all still. We don't see any movement. In the photos, we only see the first one. it has a zoom effect. We can add a motion effect to it, and we can apply it to each one individually. For example, for this one, let's say we want to do this on photo number 2. Again, we go to motion, and for the opposite angle, if that one was zoom in, then choose zoom out this one. We click OK. Then we move on to the next photo. We add a motion effect to this one. Here, for example, we choose pan left, so it moves smoothly in this direction. We set this, and then move on to the next photo. For the motion, let's say we pick the opposite, pan right instead of zoom. So it moves in the opposite direction. Okay, and for the last photo, we choose something special. This movement is a bit subtle. So, how do we choose it? Now, when we click on the side and play, each photo stays for 2 seconds. It also has an animation. For example, there's a zoom in effect. On another photo, it's a zoom out effect instead. Meaning, within those few seconds, the animation is shown for the same 2-second timing. We can see even more animations. The timing depends on the slide itself. For example, if it was set to 5 seconds, then the movement would also last 5 seconds. You can see it in sync, and since we chose 2 seconds, we see it for 2 seconds. After the motion section, we have something called 3D effects. We can also apply some 3D effects to our photos. If we want, whichever of these we select above, the effects will be applied. I'll click play on it. Let's try another effect. We can even make it bigger, for example with fire or falling effects. I'll give it a try. I'll show you. It should display something like a volcanic effect or something similar. Especially in the last few seconds. And if we want to stretch this out, it's just like the timing of the 3D animation effect itself. This is its sound. We select its sound. When we come out of the effect, it takes us back again because of the sound. But in the end, in the last few seconds, we saw the fire symbol appear. Tell it not to do that. Just show the full image for those 2 seconds. Now, when I say full, I mean it repeats. Those 2 seconds will keep going for 2 seconds. Or we could even tell it no. For example, maybe only 1 second of it is relevant. Now try to see that when we play it, even in the first or last second, it still does this. So, which motion do we choose? How long should it be? I'll say OK for the effect, but if we didn't want this effect, basically, this is where it is. Overall, these are the effects. Apply them one by one. Here, we also have the button. Besides saying delete, we could have done it. We can also use the shortcut. Not really a problem. For now, we've only applied the 3D motion effects to this image. There's also something called a filter. Filters are available too, and on mobile devices we have even more options, as we read in Photo Viewer. But only for some photo effects, we can apply certain filters on top of the effect. Especially with some other photos, it becomes a bit more noticeable. With some, though, it's not really noticeable. There are some special effects that, when we select them, give the photo an old-fashioned look or various other styles. Whichever one we want, we just pick one. For example, there's black and white. So, we just say this one is okay. Now, try to play the slideshow or make it full screen. Try to make it so that when you play it, each slide stays for 2 seconds. In those 2 seconds, this one had both a filter and a 3D effect. This one, for example, has motion. And this one, for instance, has a filter. It also has motion, and based on the timings you chose, the total will be 12 seconds. After these options we have here, there's another thing we have called remove black bars. In some photos, because people hold their phones in a 16:9 format or vertically, when you view them on a computer or TV, you usually see these black bars on the sides. For such photos and videos, if you want, you can come here. You can select this option, remove black bars, but again, it might show some distortion. It displays the image in a way that ultimately fills the top of the photo. Now, let's move on from here. In the last photo, during the last 2 seconds, it shows the image in a way that there are no black bars on the sides. But as we said before, with shrink to fit, the whole image is shown, but you can see black bars on both sides. That's what happens with the images. For example, if a part was captured where there's some rotation or stretching, we can use the rotate option to straighten it again. If we want to control the orientation, we can do that here. What does this do for us? It rotates. Any image on this page that we didn't want, we can tell it to delete each side. Here, you can select Remove All. It completely empties the storyboard. Here, we also have Undo and Redo buttons. For example, you might make some changes, but not like the last ones. Undo and Redo. It has Ctrl-Z and Ctrl-Y. You can select them. If you want, you can tell it that you want to apply it to the audio as well. To have an audio. For example, if you want the audio to be a sound from somewhere, meaning a song that you bring in yourself. So now, you click on Custom where you go from here. For example, there's a song somewhere on your computer. Select it. For now, we'll choose from the music it already has, and if you want, you can use these. We'll select one. For background music, we'll allow some of the music it already has. Thank you. I'll go over my work. Alright, I'll choose Amir. Now, if you've chosen the music, we'll select it together. Play. And after this, your work will be completed at the end. Here, we're just going to tell it what to do. For example, technically, we want to save the video or the content, but I'll explain the technical part to it. It asks in which format you want to save it, because it can be different depending on the computer. For now, I won't select 4K. The highest resolution is 1080p at 10-bit. You can also choose 720p or 540p. For now, we'll pick the highest pixel option, and in the end, you can adjust it as you like. And as we mentioned to you before, it's still the same. I'm saying it. Let's stop. It says to name it. Let's start. We assign a procedure called encoding to it. The stronger your computer's GPU is, the more control you'll have. The procedure will be faster. Between these blackboards, we could eliminate it from both sides, from both ends, from the whole thing. Well, for now, I'm still stuck. It's better to use it for video game calculations. Alright, that's enough for today. We'll continue next time. We'll also work with video. Thank you for yesterday, and finally, I ask you dear friends that if you found the video useful, please like the videos to support us and help the channel grow. Subscribe to the channel, and hopefully see you in the next sessions. Goodbye. And with that, we bid you a fond farewell and a heartfelt goodbye for now, until we meet again.